Welcome to Innovations and Breakthroughs with your host, Rich Goldstein, talking about the evolutionary, the revolutionary, the inspiration and the perspiration, and those aha moments that change everything. And now here's your host, Rich Goldstein.
Welcome to Innovations and Breakthroughs, where I feature top leaders on the path they took to create change. Past guests include Roland Frazier, Joe Polish, and Caulen, who's my current guest, and we'll circle back around to that in a moment, doing a special episode here from Miami. This episode is brought to you by my company, Goldstein Patent Law, where we help you to protect your ideas and products. If you have an idea that you'd like to protect, then go to goldsteinpatentlaw.com to find out more about how the process works. And you can contact my team to see if it's a match to work together. And so once again, I have with me Caulen, and we've done an episode in the past. Caulen is an expert on e-commerce marketing. In particular, his specialty is bringing e-commerce companies from Shopify onto the Amazon platform, or no, the other way around. He is not an expert on that. He's an expert on bringing Amazon sellers over to the Shopify platform. And so we're just going to have a conversation here where we're up on floor 25 of this lovely hotel overlooking Biscayne Bay. And it's really gorgeous out there today. Really is. And it inspired us to just have a conversation about e-commerce in 2022.
Let's do it. I'm super pumped. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks again for having me.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. Thanks for picking me up at the airport.
Yeah, right.
It's one of my favorite things is I travel a lot, but when I can, and I'm always taking cabs and Ubers and whatever, but like when I fly in and a friend says like, hey, I'm going to come pick you up, I just love that. It's just awesome. So thank you.
Yeah.
And great that we can have this conversation.
Yeah, I agree. One thing that I want to tell people is your nickname that I have for you.
It's
my favorite thing about our friendship is I have a nickname for Rich. Everybody calls him the Rich Goldstein, and my business partner and I call him Rich the Plug, because he is always the person that has just supported our business and has helped us tremendously in the growth of everything that we do. So we're super grateful. And anytime you're in Miami, you always got somebody to look out for you.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it. And just to translate a little bit into the vernacular. So it's like, and by the plug, you mean like the connection.
Yes.
Like
yeah. Not the drug dealer.
No, right. Exactly. Right. It's like that. I connect you with lots of different people.
Lots of different people. We've done a lot of great things through you. And it's been instrumental in helping us build the reputation we've built thus far. So
it's my pleasure.
Very grateful.
Absolutely my pleasure. And so let's talk about e-com and the way that it's evolving. And when this episode comes out, we're going to be right on the cusp of entering 2022.
Yep.
So what's the thing that people need to know about e-commerce going into 2022?
Well, I think there's going to be a big shift in the way that people perceive e-commerce as a sales channel, where it's not so much just a single channel way to build your business anymore. It's complementary to an ecosystem, right? So, a couple of years ago, it would be a little bit easier to build a business that was reliant on the single channel, what we call single channel CPA of Facebook. You're relying on Facebook to bring you customers, and then you play back then you could even play the front end retention profitability game.
Yeah.
Those days are they're not gone, but they're much more difficult to achieve. There's a lot more metrics involved, how much the product that you're selling is and all that good stuff. But I think that what really needs to happen is people need to understand that this is not the end all be all of your business. It's not the only channel. It's just the same way that we would advocate for somebody to not only be on Amazon, I would also advocate for somebody to not only be on Shopify. If you're just a Shopify seller watching this video, I would advocate that if your product is great, is good for the Amazon platform, to explore that, or to explore retail, or to explore something else besides just driving your entire business through having all your eggs in one basket. So I think that's the main thing that I know is very prominent throughout the industry right now.
Okay, so multi-channel,
yeah,
which is interesting. It's like you think back on the kind of the early days of, say, Google AdWords, and like you would say, like if I have a sporting goods store, I would just I bid on like broad terms like sporting goods.
Yep.
And then over time that became competitive, and you couldn't quite get the ROI that you did like back in the beginning. And
Right.
so then people start talking about the long tail,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
They start talking about like, well, okay, so it's not about like just like all of your eggs in one big broad direction. It's
Yep.
about finding these little
niches and these little like
places
sub
to play.
segments and avatars and,
Yeah.
you know, understanding your customers.
Right.
The things that were once, you know, just tying right back into what you're saying about what's going on, you know, this year is the things that were once kind of like not the cutting edge, but they gave you an edge. They're the standard, right? Like fast shipping, it's the standard. Good customer service, it's the standard. Good ads, it's the standard. Good customer acquisition, it's becoming the standard, right? Like when I say good customer acquisition, I mean like a detailed customer acquisition strategy, not just running Facebook traffic to some, you know, product display page. You know, it's becoming much more, it not only is becoming much more, it's becoming much more popular because it's becoming much more necessary, especially with the nature of everything that's going on with, you know, Facebook and, you know, Apple. And there's going to be a lot of things that we see that are probably going to be, we could get into a whole other discussion about, you know, NFTs and the metaverse and all the things that are probably going there.
Right.
That's definitely for another time.
Yeah.
I know you and I could have that talk, but yeah, I think it's definitely more along the lines of just everything we were just talking about before that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And so like, that's one way in which it's evolving. What else? Like, what else do you think is changing drastically that people should be aware of with regard to marketing in e-commerce?
Well, I think it's understanding the flow of traffic and how important it is to, and it goes back to omni-channel, but not from the purpose of like just getting a customer from a very specific channel. It's understanding that traffic is very nonlinear, right? Like it's you want to understand where your customers are going to be at in a way that's a little bit less centered around just sales, right? Like how can you meet your customer to provide them value-added content? How can you build a relationship with them across platforms using, you know, multiple media channels? Like what do you have a full funnel approach? It's more important now than ever. It's always been important, but it's the amplification of that is it's much more polarized now because of everything that we're seeing in the e-commerce space.
Is it because it's just getting more expensive? It's getting more expensive per click, and
Yeah.
so it's kind of like in the past, it's like if you don't retarget people, and you leave some money on the table, it's okay.
Yeah.
But now it's become more critical to capture as much as you can because your cost for acquisition is so much more.
Yeah, and it's about really efficiency, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're getting what not only what you're doing with to get more traffic for maybe the same amount by increasing your click-through rates, investing in content so that you have higher engagement on your ad, so it's not costing you so much to get a click. So that's an investment in and of itself. Then from there, how are you capturing that information at the highest level possible? So, you know, obviously full funnel. I think that at the end of the day, customers now, because of how much they cost to acquire, you have to make the most out of that relationship to obviously extend the lifetime value of that relationship. Because with the model, and when we're seeing it time and time again, it's like if you're just pushing sales and you're not building a relationship with your customer, that was the standard back then. Now the standard is building a relationship, right? Because Gen Z, there's a lot more influence in the way that brands are behaving because there's such a change in dynamic between the way the consumer and the brands interact with one another.
Right. Got it. And so it's interesting though there too, because like you mentioned relationship, and it's kind of almost a little antithetical to most marketing funnel systems. It's like, it's not like you don't look at relationships, you look at graphs.
Yeah,
like
right.
How many people clicked, how many of those people move to the next page, how many of those people, whatever. So it's a very cold statistical analysis normally. You're talking about relationship. Now you're talking about like ways of creating touch points. You're talking about like customer service. And like the stuff that happens with individual customers. Right. So
calling them, you know, like picking up the phone and calling your customers. It works. I've done it with my brands, and it's not only do people really, they love it. They really do. So there's really not even a reason to be scared to do it, because when you realize that your customers are like, oh, wow, it's so great to hear from you. Like, thanks for calling. In addition to that, you get a lot of valuable information. Like you get a lot of valuable information about how people are using the product, when they use it. Is there a triggering event in their life that is causing them to use your product that you didn't even know of, right? There's a lot of people that probably use your product in a way that you haven't even thought of. And if you just called them and invested the time in speaking to your customer and engaging with them, building, not just building a relationship to like sell them something. Yeah, that's great. We do want to, this is a business, right? We want to sell people things, but like connect with them, get giveaways, things that are really outside the box, that aren't just cold emails, letting people know you have a sale, right?
Yeah.
Like giving people value in ways that can be reciprocated from them, in the form of supporting your business, but give more than you ask.
Well, now that's an interesting thing here too, because like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but on the Amazon side of things, it's way more difficult to do this stuff than on the Shopify side, because Amazon, they don't readily provide contact information for the people who have bought products from you.
Right.
I think there might be some things that you can do now.
Yeah, there's some emailing.
Better.
Yeah, there's some emailing that they're allowing.
You can send a message, but then they're kind of watching the content to make sure it doesn't violate any rules. Yeah. Whereas like if you have someone on your site or on the Shopify site, essentially, then you have all of their info. You can do all of this stuff. You could send them a promo deal. You could kind of send them a happy birthday announcement or whatever.
Yeah, and one of the things that like we're seeing, and just goes back, it's not so much on the omnichannel side, but supporting omnichannel is like leveraging all of the digital data that you have to maybe fuel other sales channels. Like with Amazon, it's really great because you can push retention. You can incentivize retention a little bit better now that you can communicate with your customers to some extent, right? I don't know how much value, right, you can create in that space because you don't have that personalization, right? But you can also leverage using, email data and things like that. You can also fuel other areas. Like if you have a retail channel, if somebody is in, we're in the South Florida area and you're a natural foods product and you've got a very hefty database of customers, and they are in South Florida, you segment those people and you tell them, hey, did you know that we're launching in 25 Whole Foods here in South Florida, or, in the Florida. So there's other ways that, obviously when you're using direct to consumer platforms and emails and things like that, you can do cool stuff like that. But for the most part, it's really about just bringing around that full centered ecosystem,
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you think for 2022?
Be creative, be outside the box. You got it. Amazon sellers, if you're watching, we tend to see Amazon, you're competing at the keyword level. I always say that, Amazon, you're competing for keywords on direct consumer and like external traffic sources like Facebook and Instagram. You're really competing for attention, right? So be creative, get people's attention, because that's going to drive the efficiency of your online business. It's especially if you're running paid media and paid traffic. So be creative, think outside the box, think bigger than just direct to consumer e-commerce. Even, it's part of our business, right? And that's what we do. But a lot of our clients, they're in retail, they're on Amazon, it's never, we're not doing platform versus platform. We're meeting the customer where they are and expanding their journey with the brand across the board. So yeah. Okay. Think big. Think big for 2022,
Think big for 2022. So then, which brings me to my second to last question, which is, so what about for you for 2022? And what about you and your business?
Yeah.
Like what's that going to look like?
Well, so we're launching some portfolio products directly from the agency that are ours, some in the health food space, some in the body wash and body care space, and skincare space. So we have some cool things in the work in that regard, which is cool because we had to do it for other businesses and we've been doing it, and it's cool because we have to do it for ourselves now, and we get to do it at a level that we think is pretty high, pretty high level stuff. So I'm excited for that, and just continuing to grow the agency, continuing to keep and maintain awesome relationships with our clients, and it should be another great year for Brainpower and our team, and growing the team. It was a team of 2. We're up to a team of 16 now. So awesome. It's been really cool. But yeah, we're growth personally and obviously with our own brands, and hopefully growth with all of our clients as well.
Awesome. And if people want to learn more about you, get in touch with you, how do they go about doing so?
Yeah, for sure. They can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. Very active on LinkedIn. You can just search me up. I spell my first name is Caulen. That's how you spell Caulen. And last name is Foster. I'll probably be the first one that pops up because nobody really spells their name like me. And if you'd like to send me an email directly, it's Caulen, Caulen @ brainpower.agency.
Awesome. And just point of correction, it's not that people don't spell the name like you. It's they don't spell the names like your parents did.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You can't take full credit.
Yeah, I
for
can't. I
your
really
spelling.
can't.
Awesome. Cool, man. Well, thanks so much for
Anytime.
doing this and
Anytime,
having
Rich.
this interview. And well, I guess let's keep the conversation going.
Let's do it, man.
All right.
Good
Cool.
stuff.
Thanks for listening to Innovations and Breakthroughs with your host, Rich Goldstein. Be sure to click subscribe, check us out on the web at innovationsandbreakthroughs.com, and we'll see you next time.